As a young girl, I recall spending a lot of time outside with my mom, making our flower beds presentable and appropriate for each season. We could pick our favorite flowers at the store, then come home, get them planted in the ground, and nurture them all season long. At a young age, I learned the process of choosing an appropriate plant for every season and planting that potted plant into the ground. With this knowledge and past experience, I am excited to share some background information on the plant of my choosing, the materials needed to transplant, and show you exactly how this process goes. Let's start off with some background information. According to dictionary.com, to transplant means to move a plant from one place and put it in another. Another thing you must also be aware of is that plants must be handled very carefully to avoid shock, and this information comes from Britannica.com. It is also imperative to choose a plant that is appropriate for our season. Just now we are finally getting into spring, so you want to make sure that a plant can handle some heat but is also tolerant for the cold because we may have some cool spells. Our plant chosen today, it was based off of what it needs to thrive. You can tell I'm in a really sunny location, so that's a good indication that our plant probably needs some sunlight. In order to thrive, the plant needs a certain amount of rain or water, certain temperatures as discussed, and it also needs imperative amount of sunlight. Our materials needed today is a plant. We also have garden gloves to avoid our hands from getting dirty or cut. We also have a trowel, which is also known as a mini garden shovel. We have our watering pot. And we also have our potting mix or potting soil. Now, we might not need the potting soil if our soil here is already moist enough for the plant. We also are going to need our perfect amount of sunlight per our plant care instructions, which are shown on this care card, and we're going to need some good luck with the weather, which is not always guaranteed. Now, let's go ahead and get started with our plant transplanting process. First, I'm going to read the care tips on our plant. Our plant today is a coloki plant. Now, our plant says that it needs 4 to 8 hours of daily sunlight. Since I live here, I know that the sun in this area is going to provide the plant with an ample amount of sunlight. It also needs at least to be watered at least 2 times a week, and it is not cold hardy. Since it's spring and most of our cold weather is behind us, I think this plant is great for today. Our next step is going to be picking out the perfect spot. I think that this is a great location to transplant our plant today. Now, I'm going to put on my gloves so my hands don't get dirty or cut. And we are going to start digging and measuring out our hole for our plant. Let's go ahead and start digging our hole here. Now when you're digging, you may hit some roots, which is understandable. I am planting near an oak tree, meaning that there's probably going to be some roots in the ground. I'm going to dig out the dirt as needed, making sure that my hole is the appropriate size here. Now I'm going to take my plant, remove it from its container, and you're going to loosen up the root bud here. You want to be careful when doing this because you don't want to completely separate the plant, but you want to make sure that the roots get loosened in the plant. This will help the roots adjust in the ground better and grow out, keeping your plant healthy. Our next step is going to be putting it into the ground. Now, once you put your plant into the ground, you want to make sure that your hole is deep enough that it covers the entire root bud of the plant. Our next step is going to be putting just a little bit of dirt back in around our plant. And then we want to add some water because we want to water this plant in really good. So I'm going to add water with my watering can all the way around the edges of our plant here. I'm just going to keep filling dirt in around our plant, making sure that it's nice and packed down in there. You don't want any air bubbles where you're planting. Packed Looking good. Now whenever I dug this hole, I could tell that the soil was very dark and moist, so we're not gonna need our planting mix today. This is a great location for this plant. I'm gonna water our plant just a little bit more. This also helps ensure that there's no air holes in there. You can plant it down, a little bit more, pack it with some more dirt, and now we get to enjoy our final product. Now that you have seen how to properly transplant, you're ready to start your own garden or complete your own simple landscaping. Grab your materials, select your plants, and then get them into the ground for your enjoyment. Thank you.